grind the Ukrainians down, or the administration view?
I take the administration's view, but for different reasons, Jim. I'm not going to talk about the domestic politics inside of Russia or what Mr. Putin can or cannot accept from his population when body bags start coming home. What I'm talking about, and what I've been talking about from the very beginning, is the military capacity of the Russian force. You know, you've had this General Minikayev, who's the commander of Russia's central military district, the largest military district, saying, you know, and that's the one that consists of the Volga and the Urals and the Siberian district. I actually met this guy when he was a younger general officer, saying that the new strategic objective is to get to Odessa and beyond. I will say now what I said earlier in this campaign, they can't do it. They do not have the forces to do it. They do not have the capacity to do it. When you take a look at some of the areas that they're talking about in the south, you're talking about the town of Mykolaiv, which they have not taken yet. 500,000 in the population. It's the size of Kansas City, Missouri. Odessa, 900,000. That's the size of Indianapolis. It's 420 miles from Mariupol to Odessa. They can't sustain the supply lines for that long a time. And no matter how many forces we are saying are piled up on the eastern border getting ready to go into the country, they just do not have the size of a force to take over these cities. They've proven that. The Russians have proven they can't take Mariupol, which is a pretty big city in and of itself. They've been thwarted there, even though they have killed a lot of civilians, murdered a lot of civilians. They still haven't controlled the road junctions going in and out of there. So yeah, I don't buy Boris Johnson's commentary, different commentary than what the White House is giving out.
Okay, one of the issues in the north around Kyiv where the Russians failed was, and you highlighted the supply lines. They just couldn't get the ammo, the fuel, the food, and the command and control to those troops there. So they pulled back. The advantage in the east for the Russians is that they're closer to the Russian border, right? I mean, they could drive the stuff right across and get to those forces there. Do the Russians have an advantage in the east that they did not have in the north?
It is certainly a shorter distance, but it's still over 100 miles, Jim, and they don't have the equipment. But most importantly, they don't have the people. We have seen so many Russian soldiers killed. We have seen a lack of leadership on the part of the senior level, middle level, and junior level. They have not proven themselves to be a good combined arms force. So yes, they certainly have the artillery, but that gets to the package that the administration and NATO is providing with Ukraine now in this second part of the war. The Ukrainians can counter this with counter artillery fire. Russians cannot maneuver in this area. Ukraine is on their home turf. They have home field advantage on this. They know how to maneuver, and they have not been successful yet in the east. They've tried several reconnaissance and force missions in the Donbass so far. As Sam mentioned earlier, they have hit with artillery several towns, but their maneuver has not been such where they've taken over towns, where they control towns. And in fact, they're not moving all that much. And I personally think Ukraine is playing it very smart. The Ukrainian generals, they're allowing them to think that they're moving just a little bit, and the counterattacks by the Ukrainian forces are soon to come.
Yeah. And these are old battle lines. They've been fighting there for 8 years, so Ukrainians know them well. General Mark Hertling, always good to have you on.
Pleasure, Jim. Thank you.
Ahead, there is great suspicion after two Russian oligarchs were just found dead with their families, sadly, just 24 hours apart, under extremely mysterious circumstances. What does a Russian journalist who knows Putin and Russia make of these deaths? What's behind them? That's coming up.